Whether you're just starting or you've had cichlids for years, aggressive cichlids can be very hard to work around. Now keep in mind that these aren't guaranteed to work. These should help to have your fish be not as aggressive or just work around the aggression. Now something that sometimes works is housing a smaller aggressive fish with a much bigger fish. Now make sure that that big fish cannot kill the smaller fish. Make sure that big fish is not so aggressive that it's going to kill the smaller one, obviously because it's much bigger and stronger. That smaller cichlid is going to be much less likely to attack the bigger fish because it's like more likely that it's not going to win the fight and it's not going to take on something that big. That's why tetras and stuff, they school, because they're so tiny, something's easily going to come and attack it. If they're in schools, they look like a much just bigger one fish to other fish around, so they're less likely to just attack that one big fish. Although this isn't always the case, my convict cichlid attacks my hands when I put them in the tank. Some are not as smart as others. Breaking lines of sight is a very common way people try to lower down the aggression. Breaking the line of sight is when you have big things through the tank that the fish cannot see the other fish through. So when they're chasing each other, one can get around with a log and hide. But if you've got one fish that's attacking and one fish that's running away, that fish is going to just live in constant terror, constantly hiding. That is something you need to consider too. If you just have one fish attacking one fish, or one fish is being bullied by everyone else, it's just going to live in constant terror, hiding. Even if the lines of sight have been broken, it can't come out into the wild, it can't come out into the front without being attacked. If the tank is too small as well, the fish will try and make their territories the whole tank, which means the other fish are going to have nowhere to go and it's constantly being chased out of the territory when they can't, because the whole tank is that fish's territory. You're going to need a big tank where each individual fish can have its territory and without being in each other's territories, overlapping territories and trying to kill each other because they're coming inside of each other's territories. Rearranging the fish tank can also help for a while. It doesn't necessarily work forever, they might just attack again, but it makes new surroundings for the fish to go around in, build new territories, and do other things in that. I've seen videos of other people doing it, and most people say that it's not going to work forever, it's not going to work for a long time, so this isn't one of those very, great ways to do it, but you can always try if you need to buy yourself some time, if you need to get rid of that fish. A very common one is also the male to female ratio. If you see a big tank full of haps, big peacock cichlids and stuff, a lot of the time most of those fish are males, because if you have a tank with, let's say, 3 females and 10 males, those males are all going to want to mate with the females and impress the females, and they're going to attack each other and see who's the strongest, who can mate with the female, because they're all going to want to do it. So if you just have a tank without females, they have no one to impress, no one to want to mate with, no one to fight over, and that keeps more peace in the tank. You could also try taking out the very aggressive fish. If it's one fish dominating the tank and scaring everyone off, take him out and put him in his own individual tank for a while, so he's away from all the others. Eventually he'll forget about it, or forget about most of it, and you put him back in. He's the new fish in the tank now. A lot of aggression happens when you have a tank of aggressive cichlids or whatever, and you add a new one in, and that one's picked on. That's not always the case, obviously. That's just one of the times that cichlids get picked on. So you put this guy in the tank, and he's not the boss of the tank anymore, although he will try and fight to get back to the top of the tank. There's sometimes a dominant male in the tank, and if this is the case, then he's likely to become the dominant one again. If you get some other ones too that he might not be able to fight off, he's not going to be the dominant one of the tank. He's still going to be aggressive, but because he's new, he's not going to be as, attacky and aggressive. And just remember that some fish are going to stay aggressive forever and you can't do anything about it. So if you're thinking on getting an aggressive cichlid, make sure you do as much research as possible, or you'll end up with aggressive fish attacking other fish, and it's just going to be an absolute mess. So that brings us to the end of the video. If you got anything out of it or enjoyed it, please consider liking and subscribing, and I'll see you guys in the next video.